Okay, why don't we get started now? Others can join us in progress. Again, as Lucas said, good morning, good evening, good night, good afternoon. I do know that we do have people signed up from all over the globe, which is fantastic. If you're from far away, hope you're doing well in your time zone. And we're really pleased that you're joining us here on the webinar tonight. My name is Matt Cohen. I'm Senior Associate Director of Admissions here at Skidmore. It's my 24th year at the college. I've been here quite a long time. It's a great place to be. And again, thanks for joining us. As you can see, I am joined by two of our amazing ambassadors who you will meet in just a moment. And we're here to provide you with some information tonight and to give you the opportunity to ask us questions. We do kind of strongly encourage you to pose those questions in the Q&A. Just a little bit easier for us to manage than the chat. So if you do have questions, feel free to fire away in there, and we will do our best to address them before the hour is up. We do have until 8 o'clock Eastern time, so 58 more minutes. And we'll either go the whole full hour, or if it looks like things are done before then maybe we'll stop then. That's a game time decision. We'll see what happens. So there are basically two broad categories that I would like to cover, and that is distinctiveness of Skidmore College within the world of small liberal arts, and then also admissions. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time on that, but you don't only want to hear from me, you probably want to hear less from me, so we're going to get Lucas and Liz involved heavily a few minutes later on, and they'll talk in more detail about their Skidmore experience. So I am very available for questions regarding policy, admissions, things like that, but I'm sure a lot of you really want to know what it's really like to be a student here, and Lucas and Liz are beyond awesome in conveying that information. So keep that in mind as you think of your questions. So before I start, I'm actually going to throw it to Liz and Lucas. If you can introduce yourselves to our guests, who you are, where you're from, what you're into, and all of that, please.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name's Liz. I am a rising junior. I use she, her pronouns. I grew up here in Saratoga Springs, so that's where I'm joining from today. I'm an education and history double major outside of academics. I work here in admissions. I'm a head guide on the hiring and training team for all of our new ambassadors with Lucas. I am also a peer health educator, which is a great program we have on campus, the Department of Health Promotion. And we really value, peer-to-peer resources and building connection around campus. And I'm the peer mentor for the new PhDs in training. And then I sat on academic council for 2 semesters. I was the co-chair of the Out of the Darkness Walk, which is a walk for suicide prevention. And I'm going to be a peer leader for pre-orientation coming up in a few weeks.
Yeah. So my I guess resume isn't quite as long as Liz's, but
Sorry, tough
hi
act to
everybody.
follow.
I am Lucas, and I use he, him pronouns. I'm from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, which is where I'm joining from this evening. I'm a rising junior as well. I'm a political science and Spanish double major, but I also spend a lot of time in our music department at Skidmore. I play cello. I take private cello lessons with one of our professors. I'm involved in a cello exclusive ensemble that we have called the Cello Choir. But I'm not doing anything in regards to a minor or a major over there. It's kind of all just for fun. And as Liz was saying, I'm also one of our head guides in the admissions program. I'm helping Liz and a couple others run our hiring and training team for prospective tour guides. And then also a couple of clubs that I'm highly involved in with on campus are our outing club, which everything outdoors, it's run there. And if you like to be involved in any of that, come join. But also the Skidmore Wombats, which is our ultimate Frisbee team. Honestly, most spirit out of any team on Skidmore's campus. And then also I am a pre-orientation leader along with Liz as well, which we're gearing up to get started with soon.
Excited.
Okay, thanks, guys. For our guests, sorry I couldn't scrape up anybody interesting. This was all that was available on a Tuesday at 7. Both very cool resumes, and thank you for those intros. So let me just spend the next few minutes talking about things that we think make Skidmore different from other liberal arts colleges. We know that when people take a look at us either virtually like tonight or have the chance to visit us in person, we've got a pretty good idea of some of the other colleges you might be interested in because we do share a lot of the same characteristics. But there are some things that we feel make us stand out. Hopefully you will agree. We think they're pretty cool, and a few things that I would like to share with you. First of all, I would like to talk about the incredible breadth of our academic offerings. We currently are offering 43 majors on campus. We've only got about 2,700 students. I will not give you any other statistics tonight unless you ask for them specifically, I promise. But I do want you to know our average class size is only 16, and we've only got 8 students per faculty. So really wide range of choice, especially given the size of our population. We don't admit by major, which I think is important. So whether you think you want to study music or business or dance or French or anything in between, you have until toward the end of sophomore year to declare your major here, and it has no impact on our admissions decisions. A lot of students join us undecided, and we don't view that as unmotivated or unfocused. We figure when you fill out your Common App, you're probably going to be 17 years old, and you might not know what you want to do with the rest of your life yet. And we are really okay with that. And there's a long line of faculty here that are really eager to help guide you toward those decisions. Double majoring is quite common here, oftentimes in areas that don't have anything to do with each other. And we think that's great when students can pursue 2 very different paths. We had a brochure a number of years ago that made an attempt to describe the typical Skidmore student. And one of the answers that was provided to that question was the tap dancing brain surgeon, which was just so Skidmore because while it almost sounded like a joke, it's true here. You can walk through the academic halls, see a student head down in their science research, and later on that night, they're on stage dancing. That is very typical at Skidmore. We have kind of a do both attitude where students are able to pursue very different tracks. Typically, our largest majors include management and business, English, psych, bio, studio art, environmental studies, and after that, you've got almost 40 other choices. So lots of choice on a small campus. I want to quickly touch upon the incredible strength in the arts and performing arts at Skidmore. I think it is not a stretch to say you will find no stronger programs at a liberal arts college. It's kind of a corner that I believe we have carved out. We know anecdotally that many of our students who study these areas also apply to some of the top art schools in the entire US, places like RISD and Juilliard and Skidmore. And if they get into all of them, they have a decision to make. Do I only want to pursue my craft and get a BFA and only go to college with people who are studying what I'm studying? Or I've been dancing since I could walk. I know I want that to be part of my college experience, but I've also always known I want to be a doctor in pre-med. And Skidmore is the kind of place where you can do them both at a super high level without sacrificing the quality of either one. So if you're into the arts, you will love it at Skidmore. We do them exceedingly well, particularly for a liberal arts college. And if you're not into it, that's also cool, but you're going to have a friend who's super into it. And you're going to go to their show, their art opening, or whatever it might be. And we really believe that it would make your time in college a lot more interesting. A quick word about clubs and organizations. We've got about 130 of them, plus 19 Division III varsity sports. If you ever find yourself at a Skidmore hockey game, pay attention to the public address announcer's voice because you'll recognize it. It's me. A little fun thing I do here at the college. Our clubs include what you'd expect. They are academic, athletic, religious, social, cultural, political. If you can think of it, we likely have it. And if you come to Skidmore and you have an idea for a club that we don't have yet, start it. We would love for that list to grow, and it often does. But there's one area that I know we will not grow into, and this is something that I know makes us quite different from many of our competitors, and that is a Greek system. We have no fraternities or sororities on our campus. We have never had them here at Skidmore. We never will. I am certain of that. If you know anything about the social scene that exists on our campus, you will know that we have what I know is a well-deserved reputation for having a student body that's friendly, welcoming, open-minded, laid back, inclusive, cooperative, pretty much what my own kids would call chill. I really believe that that is what our social scene is like. And I've been here long enough to know that it's been consistent. It has been the thing that, in my view, has been the most consistent during my 24 years here. The students are just flat out nice. And it's not the kind of thing that shows up in a US News and World Report kind of ranking system. But if you think about it, don't you want to go to college where people are nice to you? I just feel like that should be part of it. And I know that that is definitely the case here. I've seen it over and over. And I think it's the kind of thing that feeds on itself. Nice students go here. And then, you know, the juniors that year look at the students that chose Skidmore. And it just kind of keeps following itself. And it's a wonderful cycle to be on. And I think it's obvious when you take a close look at us. Finally, I think no discussion of the distinctiveness of Skidmore within the small Northeast liberal arts world would be complete without at least a quick description of our home city of Saratoga Springs. Now, I'm going to keep it professional here and not name any names, but wow, do I encourage you to compare Saratoga Springs with every other liberal arts town in the Northeast. I feel really strongly about this. I think we are firmly at the top of that list. And I'll tell you very quickly why I think this is true. We are a city of about 30,000 and we're home to a lot of really interesting things. I think a lot of people know us for the country's oldest thoroughbred racetrack. We just had the Belmont Stakes from the Triple Crown here last month, and we'll do it again next year. It's certainly a fun thing to have in town, but it's a lot more than that. Every year we host the New York City Ballet, the Philadelphia Orchestra. We've got a Live Nation rock and pop concert series at the beautiful Performing Arts Center right down the road, which is where you will graduate if you choose to come to Skidmore. And last year alone, within one calendar month at that venue, I saw the orchestra, the ballet, and Sting all on the same stage, which I thought was pretty cool just a few minutes from campus. So you don't get that in a lot of small liberal arts towns. We have great shops, parks, restaurants. We offer our students things to do here in Saratoga Springs way out of proportion to the size of the city. So you get a lot of the benefits of being in a larger place, but you don't have to be in one. And there are very few liberal arts college towns that pull that off. And I think that we do it better than anyone. So I know location isn't everything when you're considering colleges. You've got a long list of criteria, but please keep in mind that among other things, you are likely picking your home between the ages of 18 and 22. And we think that location should be a factor. And in my 24 years here, I have never met a student that did not really like Saratoga. Okay, let me pause there for a moment in the interest of brevity and not taking up too much of the time, but I'll give a quick recap. Wide range of academic choice on a small campus, wonderful strength in the arts and performing arts, wide range of Greek-free activities with super friendly students, and a wonderful home city of Saratoga Springs. Okay, let me throw it back over to Liz and to Lucas, and kind of give you a multi-pronged question here that you can take where you want. But I wonder if you could share with our guests something you like about Saratoga, as I just mentioned, something or things you've really loved about being at Skidmore, perhaps maybe a particular event or tradition that we have that's been fun for you.
Yeah. Oh, you want to go, Lucas?
I'll start in as the Saratoga outsider and somebody who I guess came to Skidmore, didn't really know what was going on, or Saratoga. As for the town, I think my favorite thing about it is that there, as Matt said, are things going on. I think my favorite tradition, which is kind of a Skidmore tradition at this point, but it's something that the town does, is Chowder Fest, which goes on in February of every single year. And it is exactly what it sounds like, a big festival that is completely dedicated to chowder of all kinds, clam chowder, corn chowder, etc. And so all of the restaurants that we have in town, and trust me, there are many restaurants, up to 90 or 100, I think, different locations end up making a chowder, and you can go all along downtown and try all of them. All the roads are closed off, and so everybody's walking down the street, and you're having fun with all of your friends. And then something on campus, I guess, I'll have Liz go first about her favorite Saratoga thing, and then we'll talk about Skidmore itself.
You know, I guess being here for 18 years and then choosing to stay for another 4 could speak volume. But I also just really like the interconnectedness between Skidmore and the Saratoga community. We have a beautiful downtown that is funded primarily by the track tourists that are here right now. So we get to reap the benefits, like Matt was saying, of this nice booming town without really being in a big city. And so I really like that, being able to walk downtown to Uncommon Grounds or Northshire Bookstore on the weekends. And it's, you know, a 20-minute walk, 5-minute drive. You can take the bus, and there's lots to do around downtown. And I like to say, if you're going downtown with any sort of Skidmore merch or anything, someone's gonna stop you and say, "Oh, hey, like I know a professor, I know someone that went there, or I know someone who works in this office," that kind of thing. There's always a conversation to be started about Skidmore when you're downtown and talking with people from the community.
Yeah, there's always a coffee shop to go to and get some work.
Always.
Multiple. And even though it's not in Saratoga Springs, it's technically in Wilton, which is a town right next to it. We have all of the big box stores, which you could ever need just a, I don't know, 10-minute drive, 7-minute drive away from campus. And the bus, which comes onto Skidmore's campus that you can get onto for free with your Skidmore ID, brings you there in probably 15, 20 minutes. And so everything is super convenient and really right there for you. I mean, I'm from far away, but I didn't see myself going home any of the weekends other than Thanksgiving or winter break. But yeah. And then for Skidmore favorites, my favorite tradition has to be Earth Day Fest. And I think if you talk to any Skidmore student, this will be at the top of their list, one or two. It's our version of a music festival that we have every single year in the spring. It's when classes are coming to a close. Finals are right around the corner. It's typically right on Earth Day or around Earth Day, and we have a big lineup of both student bands as well as local smaller bands, and then the headliner. I think we had Maud Latour come this past Earth Day Fest. We've had Rico Nasty come in the past. And then there's always a few fun concerts that happen on campus throughout the year as well. Cupcake came.
Yeah, I would say my favorite's also a concert, but in a little bit of a different vein. We have Skidmania in the fall, which is a crowd favorite. It's one of the events that the Saratoga community can come to. I've been going to it since I was 9. Had my birthday party there once, fun fact. And so it is a concert performed solely by students and then some faculty add-ins throughout the concert, especially at the end. The big finale is performed by everyone. But the whole kind of shtick of the concert is their Skidmore bands are performing songs from 50 years prior. So students, you know, create bands, or there are bands that have already created, or you could just grab 2 people that one sings, one plays an instrument, and you audition with the song. And then those students are able to perform for 3 concerts. And it's just a really fun time. It's fun to see people on stage that maybe you sit next to in class, or you see every Tuesday and Thursday when you walk to a certain class. There was a first year this year that performed Dream On by Aerosmith as the opening act, which in itself is a great achievement, but also it sounded like he was lip syncing. And now I see him all over campus. And I'm like, oh my God, you are so talented. So
It's
cool.
a great way to become a campus celebrity.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is a great environment.
And Skidmore is a campus that even if you aren't performing Dream On by Aerosmith on stage at Skidmania, everybody says hi to you walking down the paths to class. So just adds to that. I think we had another tour guide in admissions. He performed Piano Man this past year, and
yes,
they loved that as well.
So I wonder if I could ask you guys, I talk a lot about how welcoming Skidmore is. Might sound a little empty from an old guy like me. You guys are actually experiencing it now. Are there any particular stories or interactions that either you or someone you know has had? You don't both have to answer if one of you's got something on this. Just a way that you could convey the welcoming nature of our campus.
I don't have a specific story that I'm going to go to, but kind of just like something that ends up being the case in every single class that you take. Because our classes are so small, they're 16-person classes. I mean, I went to a very large public high school where classes could reach up to 30, 40 students. And just like the connection of everybody within one class, there's always a group chat that's made. There's always other people who you'll see in the library before going to class, printing out their homework that they need to print out if they need to do so. And there's really just kind of a connection with everybody who takes the same class and for that semester. And you'll see them afterwards as well. You guys become very close friends because you're always doing work together. You're working on projects together. And that's just a phenomenon that you'll find all across campus throughout all the disciplines. It's not just one department that does it this way. It's all Skidmore students.
I mean, I would say Lucas and I are a testament to the welcoming nature of campus. We'll talk about it later, but we were in the same first year seminar our first year, and we've been friends ever since. And clearly, as we were talking about what we're involved in, we overlap a lot. And kind of like as my friendships have changed and Lucas's friendships have changed and evolved, we're meeting each other's friend groups, and it's all just like a lot of mutual connections, and it's really easy to just kind of welcome people into your sphere as you become friends, and I think that's
I think we can
small example.
I think we can jump off what Liz was just saying to this question that just came in about first year seminars were helpful, and it was that academic introduction, I'd say, into colleging is what I like to say, heavier writing assignments than I was typically used to when it came to high school, but also meeting all of these people who are in the same position as you. I'd say most of the other classes that you're in outside of your first year seminar, it's not just going to be you and a bunch of other first years. It's going to be you, sprinkle in a few sophomores, some juniors, and maybe one senior who needs to finish a credit off. And that's something that I really enjoy, but that kind of camaraderie, going back to it again, of that first year seminar, of that Scribner seminar, really holds you down for that first semester and helps you transition into the further semesters at Skidmore.
Totally. And I guess just to explain the first year seminar, a little bit of how it works at Skidmore, because it's a little bit more unique than just a general class that all first years take. We have something called the Scribner seminar, which is a class that you take your first semester here. We have about 40 to 45 different options of classes, which seems like a large amount, but once you get in and you start narrowing down the choices, it gets, a smaller list of about maybe 15 that you really want to take. And then you have to submit a list of 10, which you'll usually get your top 3 choices. The one that Lucas and I were in was my top choice, and I got it. And so you're taking that and you're with a professor, you're with 16 first years along with yourself. And then you also have a peer mentor, which is either a upperclassman that has taken that same exact seminar because they rotate on 3-year basis, or they are an advisee of that professor. So they know the professor really well, they have a great relationship with them, and they take that class right along with you. So they're in there every single day that you're in class. And then they also have a 4th credit hour that's strictly just the peer mentor and the students. So it's a nice time to just kind of ask for advice or ask how to, approach the professor, how to email them, how to write their papers, how to take their test, that kind of thing, like small insider little tips that they can give you. But then they're also kind of just like your adoptive older brother or sister coming into your first year of college. I don't know how to do my laundry. Okay, I'll ask my peer mentor. I don't know how to get to my class. Okay, I'll ask my peer mentor. Those kinds of things. I don't know how to sign up for events on SkidSync. Ask your peer mentor. They know all of those things, and it's really helpful to just have that kind of home base your first semester here. And then another small thing about not small thing, it's actually a really big thing, about the Scrivener seminars is they are very much a passion project of the professor. They have been created by this professor with a specific interest in mind. They're very interdisciplinary, so they're not just teaching it like ours was a political science course. They're not just teaching it from the lens of a political science professor. We really dove into Turkish films and how they portrayed the Middle East and Orientalism and all of that fun stuff. And so it's a really fun class to kind of, maybe figure out a niche that you're interested in, and explore that further. But the professors are experts on those topics. Lucas and I like to joke, our professor did not look back at the smartboard once while he was presenting. It
Not a
just
joke, he did it,
came
but
came out of his brain, and he was just rambling things off, and he just knew it. His family is from Turkey. He grew up there, so he was really an expert. Ours was about the Turkish state. I forgot to mention that. But he was an expert in his field, and that's the same for every single professor. So it's a great learning experience, great social experience, and it's a great way to kind of dive into your first semester at Skidmore.
and unless Matt has something to say, do you have the topic you
I-
needed?
I was just going to add something about the first year seminar. I was doing this session with a couple of other ambassadors on campus, and one of them was talking about her first year seminar, and she talked to the group. She told us about how her seminar was about nothing,
Yes, the art of nothingness.
which of course required explanation, but it was nothing looking at art, empty space that the artist leaves. It had a math component. Obviously, the concept of zero comes into play for math. There was a philosophy angle to it also, and it just made me wish I had been part of that class. It was just a very cool way of looking at a topic that maybe you wouldn't consider, but just an interesting interdisciplinary angle to it.
Totally.
And then I will also add into that. So Liz mentioned that we have 40 different options for the Scrivener seminar, where in reality, there's actually 42 different options. And those other 2 different options are kind of special. It's another big, I'd say, thing that goes on with the first year experience. There are 36 incoming first years at Skidmore who spend their first semester in London. And this is a program that is completely by choice. The students aren't sent there as some sort of alternative admission. It's students who want to spend their first semester in London, and 2 Skidmore professors go along with them. And those are the 2 professors who will be teaching your seminar. And so then at that point, you have 2 different classes to choose between, and the peer mentor component, which comes along with that. Students who had spent their first semester in London will Zoom in and talk to the students about whatever it is. They'll be staying in the same place, taking classes in the same program center. And so they're really there also to help guide these incoming first years through their first semester. And yeah.
And I'll just add a quick admissions angle to that. As Lucas said, it is totally opt-in. On the member page that we have on the common application, there's a box that you can check off to indicate interest in the London program. Then later on, if you're admitted, your acceptance letter will say, congratulations, welcome to Skidmore. You now have the option to pick Saratoga or London. So it does not, even if you're remotely interested in it, check off the box. You could always say, no, thanks, I'm going to Saratoga. And in fact, the vast majority of students do. So wind up in Saratoga as opposed to London. So nothing to lose. If it sounds interesting, you can check it out on our website. Checking that box does not obligate you to do anything connected to that program. So let me take the next few minutes to just talk to you about our admissions process, how we handle it, what we emphasize, and how you might position yourself to be a competitive applicant. And I do want to encourage you to get back to that Q&A. It's been drying up, and we're definitely happy to take those questions while we're presenting. So if any of you do decide to apply, there will be a number of things that we'd like to know about you: talents, skills, interests, likes, dislikes, all of it. But the bottom line is our process is primarily driven by your academic achievement, which means among all paperwork you may submit to us, by far your transcript will be the most important one. And within it, it's your course selection that will pay the most attention to. We want to see that you're taking on a reasonably challenging academic program. And we leave that vague on purpose because we know that this can mean very different things at different high schools. Some schools offer 25 AP classes, some don't offer any. We have students applying from high schools outside of the United States who have programs that are entirely different. So what we're going to do is evaluate the coursework that you had available to you and then what you decided to take. So what it doesn't mean is you don't have to be AP or IB or top level in every category in order to be accepted to Skidmore. If you hate math, you might not take calculus, and we'd be fine with that, provided that you are taking top-level courses in other areas, your favorite subjects. The rigor of your coursework relative to offerings at your own school is super important to us. So let's say we had two applicants from the same high school, and one of them was finishing with a 3.2, good solid high school average with tough classes. Then the 4.0 comes along from the same high school, never having taken available advanced coursework. We don't even have a conversation in our office. It's very clear to us that the 3.2 is the stronger and better prepared applicant. There's a reason that GPA went down, because the classes were harder. I mean, you guys know this. If you've already taken more difficult coursework, I don't have to tell you that those classes come with more homework, more reading. They're just far more demanding than the others. And it's not unusual at all for us to see the GPA dip a little bit when the level of difficulty goes up. So bottom line, I would prefer to see you get a B in a tough class than an A in an easy one. And that's how we look at the 4 years. So challenge yourself appropriately. We do like when students can at least sprinkle in some of the more difficult courses. So that's right on top. After that, everything else is tied for second place in terms of importance. So in no particular order, over the next couple of minutes, I'll very quickly let you know about the other things that we consider. I'm sure you are aware that you will have to write an essay for us. That has been part of the deal for quite some time. My simple advice to you is follow the familiar phrase, use your own voice. If you make your essay sound like you are well on your way to writing an effective one. And it's okay if you don't have a Nobel Prize or you haven't cured cancer yet. Some of the best essays I read are about summer camp or grandmothers or best friends or issues that are really important to our applicants. Those are usually the stories that resonate with us the most. And you only have 650 words. Get to the point and tell us something interesting about yourself. That's really what we're looking for. And importantly, as far as we're concerned, there's no such thing as a bad topic. I mean, really, who am I to tell you what's been important in your life thus far? That is, of course, your decision, and our hope is that you will just share something interesting with us. As for the short answer questions, sometimes referred to as the supplements, we do not have them, and you are welcome. Yes, I'm sure you're all laughing very much at home right now. We used to have them. We got rid of them a long time ago. We really found that they weren't especially helpful, making you jump through that hoop. So perhaps we've made it just a little bit easier to apply to Skidmore. Now, other folks will write about you as well. We ask for 2 letters of recommendation from teachers in academic classes, as well as one from your guidance college counselor. Now, with regard to activities, you may be aware that the Common Application will give you the opportunity to fill in up to 10 things that you're involved in. Now, I've always thought that's a pretty big number, and I hope you're not intimidated by that or feel like you have to fill in every line to convince us that you're nicely involved. In our process, it is very much quality over quantity. Sometimes the best involved students I read only fill in 3 things because those are the things they clearly care about and have stuck with over time. And we get it. If you're a varsity athlete, that's a ton of hours after class. If you're in your school's play, same number of hours. Maybe you have a part-time job. There are a million things you could be doing that are worthwhile, and we will make no value judgment about those choices. It is our hope, however, that you do maintain consistent involvement in at least a few of them. If you come to Skidmore, you're not going to join 130 clubs. We don't expect you to be in every club in high school. Choose yours and stick with a few of them. Finally, the last piece of the puzzle is standardized testing. A few years ago, it was all over the news during COVID because nobody could take them. So obviously every college was test optional. If you follow higher ed news, you may be aware that it's creeping back in to some colleges' setup. That will definitely not be the case at Skidmore. We are firmly committed to being test optional. We've been this way for about 10 or 11 years. The decision predated COVID. We have always believed that your transcript is not only a better indicator of the kind of student you are now, but a far better predictor of the kind of college student you'll become. In fact, over recent years, our student standardized test scores have provided us with virtually no correlation to first-year Skidmore GPA. It's all over the map. So it was losing its predictive value. There were a number of socioeconomic issues tied to fairness that we were growing more and more uncomfortable with, and we decided to make the break. So it's really up to you. If you are a strong tester and would like for us to see your scores, by all means, send them along. We will take a look. but you should know that it will take a clear backseat to the review of your transcript. And importantly, if you decide to apply to Skidmore and you opt not to send testing, there will be no negative impact on your chances for admission. And we really do mean that. So that is totally your call. And that's admissions. Piece of cake, right?
Yeah, I'm typing out this long answer that might be just easier to say out loud. When it comes to merit-based scholarships at Skidmore, so there are two of them that we do offer. The Porter Wackenheim in the math and sciences, as well as the Filene Scholarship in the music department. The Filene Scholarship is an audition-based scholarship, specifically focused on classical music. And so you send in a audition tape when it comes to filling out the common application, coalition application, or I can't remember the new one that just came out, but or that application. And then there is a second step to it where you're invited on campus and the finalists for the Filene Scholarship perform and then are awarded that scholarship here on campus. And these scholarships are $20,000 a year for all 4 years, and you are only admitted into them coming into your first year, so you can't apply when it comes to sophomore year, junior year, etc. And then the Porter Wackenheim is also $20,000 yearly, and that one is an essay-based scholarship when it comes to research that you might have done previously in the sciences or your previous experience overall and what you might want to do at Skidmore. And the Filene has about 4 to 6 recipients, and the Porter Wackenheim has about 15 to 20 recipients per cycle.
Thanks, Lucas. And I'll follow that up just with a kind of general description of our financial aid process. Those scholarships that Lucas mentioned make up about 2% of our financial aid budget. The other 98 is need-based. We are firmly committed to need-based aid, and we guarantee that we will meet your full financial need for all 4 years while you're here. We do require the CSS profile form if you are applying for financial aid. And you may be aware that there was kind of a catastrophic mess up, I would say, of the FAFSA form, which is the other main form used by US citizens. And that delayed financial aid information to millions of applicants across the country. We were able to award all of our financial aid based solely on that CSS profile form, which experienced no issues and appears to be going strong again right now. So keep your eye on the news. Hopefully the government will get that FAFSA form going again, error-free. But if that still is a problem, don't worry about applying for financial aid to Skidmore, because that CSS profile form will be enough for us to determine what your age should be. And another thing you can look at, every US college that accepts any money from the federal government, which is the vast majority of them, is required to have on their website something called a net price calculator. What that is a series of screens. We have 2 of them, actually. One is kind of a very quick one, and one is a far more detailed one, where you fill in your family's finances based on a series of questions. When you get to the end of that form, it will give you an estimate based on the data that you entered, what your financial aid package would look like if you were admitted to Skidmore. And the number we punch out of that form is as accurate as the information that you put in. And the nice part about it is there's no obligation. You don't even fill in your name. So obviously you never need to apply. You could look at that number and say, hey, this is great. I can still pursue Skidmore. You may find that it's not agreeable, but since we do meet full need, we find that it often is. So even though it's anonymous, when you finish filling it out, there is a code at the bottom that you can jot down or make note of, because you can call our financial aid office afterwards and say, hi, I just filled out your form. My code is 64829, and I kind of like to talk to you about it because my family's financial situation is a little bit different than most. And I'm hoping that maybe we'd be eligible for some more financial aid. So you can always talk to our aid office about that. And again, we know that we're one of those expensive private liberal arts colleges, but don't write us off because of cost, because we really do meet full financial need for every student that we admit. And we really surprise people with financial aid packages and often wind up making it more affordable to attend Skidmore, a small private liberal arts, than their own state schools. So if we're an interesting school to you and you think you're going to require significant aid or even just a little bit of it, fill out one of those forms. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by the financial aid grant that you would receive.
I will also, so somebody asked about music performing arts scholarships. So yes, the Filene scholarship, which I was talking about, is specific to the music department, but that jogged my memory a little bit. And this past year, actually, we had a external fellowship start to be offered within the theater department at Skidmore. And this is the Miranda Fellowship. And I will be throwing a link into it specifically for the theater department, and you apply to it once you are a rising junior, I believe. And I'm about to send the link to everybody.
And I am working on that link for the net price calculator, which someone asked about.
Oh, I got it.
You got it.
Should we talk about internships really quick, Liz?
Yeah, I can do that
So, I mean, okay, yeah, you can.
if that's okay. We have an amazing career development center on campus, which is really the facilitator of most opportunities internship wise. I did a fellowship last winter break, which was through the education department. I was in a Boston public school for 2.5 weeks, really just kind of you know, getting to know a different school system. I went to school in Saratoga, a small suburban town, and I didn't know what an urban school looked like until I went to Boston. So that was a great opportunity. And then we also have a platform called Handshake, which is basically LinkedIn, but only for the Skidmore community. So you can really connect with alum, see what they're up to, see what like an education major does, and what past education majors, what jobs they took, that kind of thing. And so that's also a great way to network for internships. If you want to specifically work with an alum, you totally can. They can help you find the Career Development Center can help you find an internship during winter break, over the summer, either here in Saratoga or in your hometown. They pretty much have connections everywhere. And you can, talk to them, but you can also talk to your advisor and see what's going on in the political science world, in the business world, in the chemistry world, and what kind of internships are open for students. That would honestly be your best asset if you're really looking for something that aligns with your major. Professors are your best bet. And really, like, a student 2 years in, prestigious university, is going to have some great opportunities for them when they're looking for internships their sophomore, junior, senior year.
Yeah. So I'll just add on to that about kind of the more interpersonal ways of gaining internships at Skidmore. It's really great within your departments if you've chosen a department to hang out in a majority of the time, if you've chosen your major. There's typically professors who spend a lot of their time getting emails or information from people outside of Skidmore who might be specifically looking for a Skidmore student to fill a internship position over the summer or over winter break. And then specifically in our business and management department, which is the largest department we do have on campus, which is a little bit unusual for a small liberal arts institution. There's so many internship opportunities when it comes to the school year as well, working with businesses in Saratoga Springs. And I'd say I kind of think of it sometimes as our business and management department kind of operates like its own little firm. At times, they have students who are for credit working with local businesses to consult for them and come up with new ideas. And this is one of their classes that they're taking. It's just a really cool thing. Yeah.
Okay, I see a question in there about how accessible are professors after class. I think that's something that maybe everybody would like to hear. Can you guys
I'll definitely talk about that. I'd say your classes, your professors, you're not just going to be experiencing what's going on in them within the classroom for that hour and a half or hour and 40 minutes. Professors typically have office hours which they've made available within the syllabus or online or something like that. And most professors won't strictly adhere to them. If their door is open and you knock on it, and they have a second or two to talk with you, they're more than happy to answer questions about the class or even about other projects that you might be working on. I talk with Liz about a lot of the time how I sometimes just wander down the political science hallway and end up in different professors' offices asking different questions about my future and like maybe what I want to be doing in the next few semesters, or a class project that I'm working in one class but want the opinion of a professor that I'm taking a different class with. And that's the political science department, but it seems like it's like that pretty much across the board throughout all departments, especially for education, I've heard.
Yeah. Yeah. After in the last semester, there was I would walk into my classroom and there's pretty much one main education class um for the whole department. And every day that I would walk into that class, there was a class beforehand, and that class would always be late getting out because the professor was answering questions from students, and then it would just move into her office every day afterwards. And so it, really easy to talk to them if you have questions. And they're also usually just an email away and pretty good about staying on top of that.
Okay. So are there any closing thoughts you guys have? Is there anything unsaid that you'd like to share with the group? I don't see any questions in the Q&A. As I said at the beginning, it's not an assignment. We don't need to go right to 8. If it's run its course, that's fine. I will say before we do sign off, please feel free to contact me if you have any questions about admissions after today. My email address is my first initial and my last name, as you can see right on the screen, M. Cohen, and that's at skidmore.edu. Just let me know we were on that webinar and fire away with any admissions questions you may have. And I see that Liz has put her email in there as well.
And we'll drop mine in there in just 1 second. And I think I guess yours first, but we could definitely talk a little bit about residential life before and it seems like somebody's asked a question about that. So I think that's also something really important at Skidmore that I think we just overlooked. It's because Skidmore has over 90% of students living on campus all 4 years. The Skidmore community is on Skidmore's campus. There isn't much of a culture of going home on the weekends or spending too much time off campus. Even though we have our wonderful town and you'll definitely go downtown with your friends, students aren't going to other colleges to hang out there. They're staying at Skidmore. We have 9 residence halls on campus. 8 of them are open to students from all years. One of them is the 9th one is open to sophomores and up. Those 8 residence halls that I was previously talking about, they're all suite style living, and that 9th is hall style, though it does kind of work out numbers wise in the end that about the same number of bathrooms are being shared per student. You just kind of have to walk down the hall instead of stepping 2 feet out of your room. And then for upperclassmen, for juniors and seniors, we have on-campus apartments, which are wonderful. Me and Liz are very excited to be moving into them soon. And so instead of getting an apartment with your friends off campus and having to catch the bus to school or walk 30 minutes to school, or drive or whatever, we have apartments at the back of campus, which you can walk 5 minutes and you're in class. And it's wonderful. They have full kitchens. And so I guess on that note, when it comes to the meal plans for students who live in one of the 9 residence halls, they are required to have the unlimited meal plan in our dining hall, Murray Atkins Dining Hall. It is the one dining hall on campus. And some people, when they come and visit, they're like, there's 2,700 students, but only one dining hall. And that's because of the apartments. A lot of students are cooking for themselves once they become a junior or a senior. But they still do have full access to the dining hall if they would like to, if they'd like to buy a certain number of meal swipes or even get the entire dining plan themselves. And then additionally, we have another place where you can get food in our Case College Center, and that's called the Spa. It's more of a snacky place. You can get sandwiches there. A lot of students stop down there for lunch. And there's soups, and then soups, salads, sandwiches, etc. And then that is also open on the weekend as one of our late night options. Late night during the week is held in the dining hall, and then from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. on Friday and Saturday, it's held in the Case College Center in the spa, and it kind of becomes a central meeting location for lots of students, especially first years and sophomores, and even juniors and seniors. And it's a great place to get a little bite before you head off to bed. Or
And then going back to res life a little bit, housing is guaranteed for your all 4 years. So you can stay on campus all 4 years. About 90% of our students do stay on campus. And then we have 7 different areas of special interest housing. We have substance free all in one building in Howe Rounds. Obviously, we are a dry campus, so realistically shouldn't be an issue, but we are a college campus, so you know, there's always going to be substances around, but Howe Rounds really is a space where you're kind of pledging to keep substances out of the area for yourself or for other students for whatever reason. And so that's a nice space that you can stay in. And then we also have a quiet floor, a women's floor, a prison floor for our LGBTQ community, a multicultural floor, a global community floor, and then sustainability housing on the first floor of Wicking, which is the hall style bathrooms. And those are all options that you can check off on your housing questionnaire, which you fill out the summer before you get here. All of our housing is, or all the residence hall housing for first years is random. So you fill out a housing questionnaire all about how you like to live, when you like to go to bed, when you like to wake up, if you're okay with an emotional support animal, if you're messy or clean, all of that kind of stuff. And then also, if you're interested in special interest housing, you can check a box on there. And Residential Life does a pretty good job at placing you where you are most comfortable, who you're going to be most comfortable with, and housing is really you know, it's a make or break in college. And Lucas and I both have, you know, we don't have horror stories to tell, and it's been a good experience so far, and we're both excited for the apartments. And then quickly, I know we had a question about dining options. I could quickly run through just all the stations that we have in the dining hall as kind of a, you know, walkthrough. We have 8 stations in the dining hall. We're piloting a new station this summer. We have pizza, we have Emily's Garden, which is vegan and vegetarian. We have a deli where you can have sandwiches and paninis made for you. We have a coffee station, dessert. If you do get the chance to visit campus, I implore you to go try a chocolate chip cookie. I mean, never get sick of them. We have the diner, which is kind of our basic area. We have every Friday, Chicken Finger Friday. We've had tacos on Tuesday for the past year, which has been really good. We are a Pepsi school, so we have 2 drink stations that dispense Pepsi products, much to my chagrin. I like Coke products better. I know Matt loves his Coca-Cola. We have a grill where you can make eggs, breakfast sandwiches, toast bagels, English muffins in the morning until 2:30. We have a cereal station that's open whenever the dining hall is open from 7:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. You can get cereal. We have Global, which one side has a noodle bar, which has been having a make your own ramen area for pretty much about the past year and a half, 2 years actually. And then the other side is some sort of multicultural cuisine. And then our new station, it used to be our pasta station, but it's now called, oh, I don't know what it's called, but it's
going back.
no, it's not back to basics. It's like it's about the 9 most common food allergens. So that food is free from the 9 most common food allergens. It's kind of our back to basics, but may simplified even more. And then we also have a test kitchen for students to use, especially for gluten and celiac intolerances. And then also just a quick note, we are staffed. Our dining hall is run by chefs, not just food service workers, and they are so excited to speak to you. If you have any sort of food allergies, they can speak with you, create a menu for yourself. I've seen people get meals wrapped with saran wrap to lessen the cross-contamination. Those meals are made for them. It's specifically for them every day, so you can work with them, reach out to them if you have any questions, especially when you first get here, and they can work with you to make sure that you are comfortable in the dining hall, especially if you're living in a residence hall your first, second year. You don't want to live 2 years with eating stuff that could possibly harm you. So our dining hall staff is great to work with. But yeah, that's our dining hall. We are nationally ranked, never
Really
get bored of the
good.
food. And it rotates on a 4-day basis, so it's not like every day, every Monday is the same thing, other than Tuesdays and Fridays, which I mentioned. But that's only one station, so
And that's
there's
kind of like
lots of variety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of variety.
Yeah.
Food's good, best I've
Yeah.
had in any college or university.
Yeah.
And I
Cool.
think no more
That
questions.
may have been the most thorough answer I have ever heard in a group session. That was fantastic. Very nice.
I love food. I love the dining hall. I got you. I can like envision it in my head and just walk through it in my head.
That's
I
actually
mean,
what I
I
was
think
doing.
both of us can very well.
Yeah. It's a nice C. It's a horseshoe shape, which is also very nice because you can just walk circles getting food.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of people in there, and it's
Yes.
also a great social place.
Good or bad. Depends on the day.
It's great.
All right, I think we're gonna wrap things up now. No more questions in the Q&A for right now, so I think we're coming up right on the hour. I want to, Lucas and Liz, you guys are amazing, super helpful and fun to listen to. Thank you so much for your input. I hope this was helpful to all the attendees. And Liz, thanks for putting all our emails up there in the chat.
Totally.
Yes, please feel free to use them.
Yes.
The information does not have to end when we close this session.
I will say I've given my email out to probably hundreds of people.
I've never gotten an email.
I've never gotten an email, so be the first.
Be
and
that
I'll,
person.
Come on.
and I'll respond.
Show them some love here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, good luck with the process. Thank you for joining us, for taking this hour wherever you may be, whatever time it might be. And we wish you best of luck in the process. And if Skidmore is a good fit for you, we hope maybe we'll see you here in about
2
a year.
years. Yeah.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good night, everyone.